Oh my gosh, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am so obsessed with human design, and that's why I'm so stoked to have Madeline here. She has an incredible podcast, The Beginner's Guide to Human Design. She's a human design reader and a somatic breathwork practitioner. She started her career when she was 14 and eventually moved her way to where she is now. She has a super unique perspective because had severe health problems since birth. After struggling to get help from doctors and practitioners, she just took this bad boy into her own hands and educated herself on healing herself, changing her diet, addressing trauma through stress and breath work. She finally started to get healthy, but it wasn't until she learned human design that her health improved exponentially. By living in her design and getting mindset and life into alignment, she has stopped experiencing, you guys, 95% of her health problems. How wild is that? She's significantly happier, has tons of energy. And I'm just so excited to have this conversation about human design because I'm literally so obsessed. Madeline, thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Suzy. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk about human design, and I just can't wait to get into it.
Oh my gosh. We were just talking before we started recording. Like, I find it so shocking when I'm like, oh my gosh, what's your human design? And they're like, what's that? I'm like, where have you been living? How do you not know this is the most life-changing tool ever?
I know. I come across people all the time that either have never heard about human design or even more commonly people have heard of it and then they get obsessed. They look up their design online and then they try and read the description and they're like, what? And then they try and Google or look on TikTok or something for more information and then they're even more overwhelmed. And I've just noticed that it's such a deep, huge thing and there's so much information about your chart that people just get like deer in the headlights about it and then it's just a turnoff. And so I've figured out ways of explaining human design that are really, really easy to understand and kind of distilled down the most important parts of your chart that actually impact your life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
That's so juicy. Yeah, that chart, the whole the circle thing with all the lines going everywhere and there's a half line here. It is very complex and overwhelming.
Totally.
I get that. I found it was just kind of like when I found the Enneagram the first time. It was like, wait, there's other people in the world that exist like me and there's reasons that I behave like I behave, and it brought so much clarity to me and peace. Have you noticed that?
Yes. And what I notice about learning human design or really any of these different types of modalities is I feel like I can skip ahead a few decades of self-discovery. I know I would have figured out a lot of this stuff about myself and how I work and what's most authentic to me, but it normally takes your whole life to do trial and error and make big mistakes and have big wins until you finally distill down what exactly works for me. And I'm a very trusting person. And so it's been easy for me to just learn my chart and just do it. Let me just try this, whether I think it's even right or wrong. And I've found that every single thing that I've done that I've learned from my human design chart has worked out beautifully for me and caused quantum leaps of success, not only in my career and my relationships, but my actual physical body, my actual body transformed. It's wacko. It's insane.
It's wacko. I love that about human design, that literally it teaches us to listen to our bodies. Can you just give us a quick, brief overview? What is human design? Why is this important? I start all of my one-on-one clients. I have them take their human design. I get the whole report printed out so that I can understand them better and help them understand themselves better. But give us an overview.
Yeah. So imagine you're being born, you pop out of the womb, and some angel comes down and hands your parents the user manual for your life. That's what your human design chart is. It's literally a blueprint of how you specifically are meant to be working. Not working working at your job, but how does your life actually work? How does your energy work? What kind of motivation works for you? What kind of eating patterns and digestion and what kind of relationships? How do other people see you? How do you see yourself? So it's this enormous amount of information specific to you. And my favorite place to look up a chart is myhumandesign.com. There are lots of different websites, but that's just my favorite one. So that's where you could go. And then you put in your birth information. So your birth time, date, and location, and that's it. So what I like about it is that it's not a personality test where you have to answer quiz questions, because when I do those, I get a different answer every single day. And like, I feel like I change so much that I struggle when I have to be in charge of answering the questions. But it's just simply pulled up from your birth information. And the information is actually coming from two things: from the moment that you were born, but also roughly 3 months before you were born. So there are these particles called neutrinos. Have you ever heard of neutrinos?
No.
Okay, super interesting thing. So neutrinos are all over the place. There's billions of them everywhere. I can't remember the exact number, but there's something like a few billion of them in the size of like your pinky fingernail. And neutrinos can pass through all physical surfaces. So you know how light particles, they just bounce off of a wall or bounce off of a tree or your body. Light doesn't pass through something that's a physical surface. Well, a neutrino is significantly smaller than a light particle, so it can pass through things. And why this even matters is because neutrinos carry information and they embed information. And neutrinos come from the planets. So neutrinos are carrying the information of what's going on in the planets or in the universe in that exact moment. And when you're born, you pop on out, those neutrinos are passing through your body and they basically imprint with you what is happening in that exact moment of the universe. And then that's going to stick with you forever. And that also happens roughly 3 months before you're born. And why that's significant is because that's when supposedly your soul is embedded into your body. So you get this download of universal information that basically sets the stage for who you are in this life. And what I've seen from all of my clients, my family, my friends, and myself, when you apply even just small little tidbits of your chart to your life and you actually do it, everything falls into place. You feel incredibly light and clear. You feel good about yourself. You're able to finally manifest things without so much effort or strain or force. It's like you just are who you are and it works. And it's amazing. But the tricky part of all of this is that we live in a world where we get conditioned, and conditioning isn't always something terrible. It's just that we all learn things from day one up until we die. So we learn from watching people, from our parents, from our teachers, from the news, from experiences we have. We learn from, that time when our first boyfriend broke up with us, or that time when we made our first best friend, like good things, bad things. We just learn so much that can stray us away from who we actually are according to our design. And so when you learn your design, you'll usually find there are aspects of your chart that feel totally validating, that you're like, oh my God, I knew that I was like that. That's so me. And then there's always something in your chart where you're like,
scratching your head.
I don't really get that. That doesn't sound right. Or I really don't like that. Or that's unappealing. And I always find that those are the areas where you've had the most conditioning that's trained that innate part of you out of you. And when you get back to that, then things start falling in place. Then life starts really working for you in an easy and pleasurable way.
Wow. Neutrinos, mind blown. Never heard of that in my life. That's so cool. One of the things that I love you said, like the user manual for your life, because we got them for all of our children, and we're like, parenting, we all know is not one size fits all, but then to really understand, like, this is why that doesn't actually work for that kid, and it really does work for that kid. One thing with Todd is like, I've learned that from his authority to ask him a yes or no question, like or and it's made our marriage way smoother. Just being like, how do you feel about, say this, like yes or no has been really cool. It is so juicy and jam packed that we have to get deeper into it. Tell us more about the designs.
Yeah. So the most important and kind of most interesting and popular part of human design would be the energy types. So this is kind of like in astrology when somebody says like, oh, I'm an Aquarius, I'm a Sagittarius, and then maybe that's as far as you ever learn. That's kind of like the energy types in human design. You could just only learn this and it could still make an impact on you. So there are 5 different energy types, and this is not your personality type, but this is actually how you as a human are meant to use your energy along with other humans. So we all have a specific kind of role energetically so that we can all get along as people on this planet right now. And let's just start with yours. So you are the energy type manifester. And I do want to preface this by saying this doesn't mean that you're the only kind of person that can manifest. So everybody has the ability to manifest, but a manifester is called that because a manifester has this ability to create something out of nothing. Like you can get an urge, an instant kind of spontaneous hit or a drop in or a download where you're like, oh my God, I've got to do this. And then you're one of those kind of people that can do it. And you go full steam ahead and probably put in 500% effort and work to make that thing happen. And so energetically, once you get this urge to create or do something, you get an explosion of energy. You go forth doing it. And then when that thing starts rolling, it starts working, a manifester will then need to retreat and their energy will go way, way, way down to maybe like 20%. And they'll need to rest or kind of go in their cave or have alone or downtime. And sometimes people feel really badly about that because they think like, why am I so sporadic? Why do I get like so high and then so low? But it's actually a good thing because when a manifester kind of completes this cycle of a new project and then they drop into their low energy time, that's when the next thing starts to percolate. And if you embrace the rest and you embrace kind of the downtime, your next urge, your next project or like explosive hit is going to percolate and bubble up from within you. And it'll drop in as an immediate boom, I'm doing this. And Suzy, I've noticed that you've said things, I've been following you for a few years, and sometimes you say these things like, why does this idea always come in the middle of the night? Stuff like that. It's like, yeah, probably because you're resting and you're in your downtime. And when a manifester gets this urge and this hit, it is irresistible and you can't just like think about it later. It's like now.
Oh my gosh.
And then a manifester will also have this strategy of informing. And so it's really, really good for a manifester to actually tell people, hey, I'm doing this. And the reason is because the correct people are going to get on board and jump in and be so into it. And they're either going to want to participate or they're going to want to help make it happen. Or the wrong people are going to be like, I couldn't care less. And they're just going to move out of the way and just shuffle off to the side so that you can move full steam ahead.
Oh my gosh. It's just like it's so good to hear it again because I just finished a big launch, the Do the Dang thing. And it was like exactly like you said, like all this energy, 500%. It's stunning. Awesome. Launches went great. And then I'm like, am I brain dead? Like what is happening to me? I have nothing left in me. I'm like having a hard time getting on social media. I just feel that like low of that energy, like rest. And usually my MO is to just fight against that, fight like hell. Like, let's get back, let's get the energy up. But my sweet husband's like, this is time to like turn on Love is Blind for a couple days and rest. And that's such a good reminder to me to not fight that because that's exactly what you said. Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Is Todd a generator?
Todd is a generator. Yes.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about next. So generators are a very, very common energy type. Manifestors, way less common. There's maybe 7% of people. Generators, I can never remember the exact number, but something like 30-ish%. So generators are the luckiest of all of the types because generators are here to create energy, not only for themselves, but for all of humans. And the only way for them to create energy is by having a life that they absolutely love and that lights them up. So it's a priority not only for Todd, but also for you and everyone else around Todd, that Todd is having a good time.
Right.
Because when Todd or a generator is having a really, really good time, then they're going to become sparkly and bubbly, and they're going to ooze out all of this energy that's for everybody, because not all of the energy types create energy. So like for you as a manifester, you actually don't create energy, but you sort of ride temporary energy for that urge you get, and then you drop. Todd could have a consistent flow of energy all the time, as long as he's really set up his life to feel like it's in alignment. It's what he truly wants. He's got the right people around him. He's feeling supported. And this doesn't always mean fun 24/7. Like, we all know that to achieve our biggest dreams, we're going to have to do hard things, and we're going to have to do like some grunt work or some busy work or tasks that we just don't love. But ultimately, for a generator, if the end result makes them feel super satisfied and they feel more energized, or like their soul has been fed, that's positive. If a generator is feeling like their soul is being sucked out and they're very, very frustrated at the end of every day, something's out of alignment, and they're going to continue not creating energy and continue feeling worse. So again, this is a really lucky type because they get to feel good, but most of us have set up our lives with a lot of really icky things that don't actually feel good, whether it's a very like negative relationship or a job situation or a home or something sort of permanent that's not working for you. You know, then what are you going to do? So that's something that I work with people on in readings and all kinds of other ways of how do you actually start to shift your life to feel really good for you as a generator so that you can continue the momentum and creating the energy.
That's so everything you just described was so perfect for Todd's life. When he was a dentist, it wasn't that like life-giving energy sourcing type vibe. And then he would come home kind of be lower energy, and I am like dependent, like in some ways dependent on his energy, truly. Like I swim in it all day, and that generator energy keeps me going, keeps our kids going. And when that was lower, like when he was a dentist, it was just not like as juicy as I see it is now that we're working together and he's developing all of these passions and we're doing things together that we're so proud of. Like literally, it's like someone started our family energetic on fire, and that family energetic was Todd. Like Todd living in his human design as a generator has been probably the most transformative thing for our entire family. I'm not even kidding you. My mom came the other day and she was like, Todd, do you really love this more than being a dentist? How can you really love this more than being a dentist? She's like, you're just figuring out these computers. He's like, no, I love doing this. And I think what's interesting is when the pieces don't make sense to other people, that's when I feel like maybe that conditioning can come back into play and people like can get out of alignment with their energy type. Do you think?
100%. And people really complicate this, and they like to make it like, I think people think it's like sexier if something's really hard and really tricky and complicated, but it's not. It's simple. Like for Todd, if Todd loves doing what he's doing, he literally is providing power to the whole family and everybody else that spends time around him. And so it's like, it doesn't matter if you have some impressive, you know, high paying career like a dentist, like great. If you love that and that lights you up, fabulous. But if you love doing this other thing, and I don't know exactly even what to say he does, but I know he's a huge support part of the whole, everything that you're doing. And if that's a really like life-giving, soul-feeding thing for him, that is going to pour so much energy into everybody around him that it comes back, it pays him back like a millionfold. And it's whether it's in finances or his health or some other way, but he is meant to be rewarded in life by how much energy he can create, not by like how impressive his career looks or something like that. And so people oftentimes get really stuck on things like, well, I spent all these years and all this money on school. I really should just stick in this career because that would be smart. So let me just force it and make it happen. But then you wonder, well, then if you're a generator or if you're just a miserable person, no matter who you are, how is that really going to work for you? Like, how are you really going to feel rewarded by that in the long run? if you instead follow something that actually helps you create like life-giving energy, that's going to come back to you in incredible ways and in mysterious ways that are absolutely not logical.
Absolutely not logical. Tell us more about like what does it look like? What is that energy, that life-giving energy? Like how does that actually translate in people, in their bodies, in their life?
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm a manifesting generator. So that's the next type we were going to talk about. It's basically a combination of everything we've just said. And for me, once I started living more in alignment, and I did a lot of change, but one of the main things that I did was I spent 3 days, and I didn't tell anybody I did this, but I spent 3 days at the very beginning of my human design learning journey a few years ago, where I only did whatever I wanted in the moment. And I went to work, like I went to my job, and I just didn't do all of the tasks that I hate. Like I didn't check the voicemail and I didn't take out the trash. And I just did the tasks at work that I actually really like. And some of them are kind of dumb things like I really like making images on Canva, even if I don't really like need one right this second. Like that's fun. And I can spend 5 hours in Canva and doing these other kind of random things. And those 3 days, literally nobody noticed that I slacked on my tasks. No one cared. It had no impact. And literally everybody in my life was so much happier, including the person in the checkout line at the grocery store, my husband, my boss, my clients at my work. Like everybody was having a good time. I felt like I was at a really fun party for 3 days. And I saw evidence like, wow, it actually doesn't matter. Like if I'm doing what I should, that's in quotes, should be doing, like that's silly to think that these mundane tasks are so important. What's actually important is following something that I'm attracted to, something that lights me up. And then I can see the result in the effect it has on other people. Now, again, of course, it's important that we check the voicemail. So you can't just let go of all of your, tasks you don't prefer. But then what I've learned since then is that if you have to do these dumb things like take out the trash or check the voicemail, can you actually do them with a perspective that does align with you or light you up? Rather than thinking like, God, I hate pushing all these stupid buttons on the phone and it takes 2 minutes to even get into the voicemail. Like I used to think like that. I used to focus on that. Now, if I have to check the voicemail and I still hate it, I think, oh my God, I bet that there is an amazing opportunity in my voicemail right now. And I'm so excited to see what surprises are waiting for me. And it's a silly little game. But honestly, when I, as a manifesting generator, put my attention on something that is in alignment for me, it truly changes the outcome.
Mm,
And it truly keeps my energy rising and staying up there rather than having these dips all the time of frustration and like, I hate doing this.
mm,
And then you can begin to offload, have somebody else check the voicemail
mhm.
eventually, like figure out the things that really don't work for you and offload those so that you can actually like take the breadcrumbs step by step towards the life you truly want. And then what
Totally.
ended up happening to me the more I got into alignment, like you said at the very beginning, I was an extremely sick person that could hardly function. I could hardly go to work. And I felt like I was about to die at any second. And that's not an exaggeration.
Mm.
And within about like a month, almost all of my health problems mysteriously disappeared. And I shrunk down and I had to buy a completely new wardrobe over the last year because my body changed so significantly. And I did not change my diet or my exercise or do some affirmations or anything like that.
Wow.
I only started following what I actually wanted to do and stopped caring if it looked impressive or if it made someone else happy.
Oh, oh my gosh. That's so juicy. This podcast is obviously called Your Business Will Heal You. And I'm big on the world needs your magic and your medicine. And sometimes we overthink that and like they need me to be this craft girl or they need me to be this educator. It's like, no, what we actually need from you is to exist in your human design in your most lit upness because you're playing a role in my life. Like the girl from the checkout stand, you just oozed this energy that then she could feed off of and like that could help charge her, not even in an interaction with words, right? It's like just that energetic exchange. that we need from your energy type. We need your energy. We need your energy to be the most lit up as possible. That's part of your purpose. It is.
Yeah. And I love what you just said there about like, it's not even about your words, it's in your energy field. And it literally is. So your whole human design chart is actually living in your aura. So you don't have to talk to anybody. When we're walking around like in a busy mall and everybody's auras are kind of bumping up and rubbing up against each other, everyone's reading each other's charts and going like, oh, I see you, you're this, you're this. And of course, this is all unconscious. We're probably not aware we're doing that. But when you're acting out of alignment with your design, other people in like the split second they get near you, they feel your design, they expect it, and then you act out of alignment and it's jarring and upsetting for others. This is at an unconscious level. And so when you're not authentic, people will feel something's off and I don't really get it or I don't really like it. And then nothing really works out for you. But if you just live according to your design, or if you never learn your design and you just act very real and authentic and the true you, people feel that and it feels good for them and they love it. And it doesn't even matter who you are. They just love that you're actually being yourself and that feels safe and good and relatable for them.
It really is. That authenticity piece is everyone's superpower. And people that just, I feel like because of conditioning, like living authentically is not that easy of a gig, because you don't, it's hard to decipher, like, is this actually authentic to me or is this some of my conditioning? That's why I love the tool of human design, because it's like, this one is it. This is it. This is the manual for your authenticity a little bit.
Yeah. And so, like, let's talk about the projectors, because sometimes when people hear about generators, they think, like, oh, we should all be really lit up. We should all follow what lights us up. But if you're a projector, this is the next energy type in human design. If you're a projector, it's actually never going to work for you to chase what lights you up. So, for example, my mom is a projector, and she just really accidentally beat the fun out of me growing up. Like, we did not do anything because we wanted to or because it was fun. We did a lot of hard work and productive stuff growing up. And she's a very successful small business owner, and she can get stuff done whether she likes it or not. And she is like the smartest, most wise person ever. And so I really had a hard time myself learning to actually do what I want, because I thought that was not useful or valuable, but it is valuable for a generator or manifesting generator. Now, a projector is different. Doing something that lights them up or that's fun is nice and it's wonderful and it's the cherry on top, but it isn't going to do that much for a projector. A projector is kind of like a bird sitting up in a tree with their own unique perspective, and they're looking at all the other animals down on the ground, walking around doing their thing, and they're looking at them going, oh, if that buffalo took that path, then they wouldn't run into that, predator over there. And if that lion just did this, that would actually work better, like, because they can see things from above. So a projector is actually here to share their unique perspective and point of view, and they're helping us all to improve and to make things better systems, better programs. Just, they can see something that needs fixing, and they're usually right. They just are. But if they try and act like a generator, they're going to get so burnt out and exhausted and uninspired and feel pointless. Like, a projector just doesn't ever get the energy from doing something they love that a generator or a manifesting generator would get. It's just nice for them. What they're going to feel is that they need aligned generators and manifesting generators around them. They need the people like Todd around them to provide some energy so that they can go out and share their wisdom and their gifts and their point of view and be a helper. And then they also need the manifestors like you to help carry something forward. Like what are we going to do? The manifestor is going to say what we're going to do. We're going to do that. The generators and manifesting generators are going to help make it happen. And the projectors are going to correct and fix it and tell how it could be better. Then we've got our fifth type, which would be the reflectors. And these are very rare. This is about 1% of the population. And a reflector is like a mirror for us all. So a reflector can show us who we are. So if you ever meet a reflector and you really dislike them, it's absolutely something that you dislike about yourself. Or if you meet a reflector and you just love them so much, it's because they're reflecting a quality about yourself that you love and that makes you feel really proud. And I would say that the reflectors seem, from my impression, they seem to struggle the most until they learn their design and they learn how to work with this, because it's incredibly challenging to walk around and always feel like you have a different personality when you're around different people. Reflectors often feel like they don't know who they are because they're like everything. They can be anybody. They can be a chameleon and just kind of be anything. And that's true. But when you really look into their design, they actually do have unique gifts. They have a life theme. They have karmas. They have lessons. They have things that are unique to them, but they can also morph incredibly into anybody that's around them. So it's a very interesting gift to have.
Oh my gosh. And what I love about human design is we're all here for a purpose to help the collective and each other. And I think once we get outside of our like own selfish perspective of like me, and really think you are a piece of this puzzle. You guys, you're a piece of this puzzle and this can't operate without you. And that's why it's so important to like live in your design, because you're doing something for someone. I have to go back to projectors because it's so cool. I have 4 kids and Todd, and like we don't have a reflector, but we have everyone else. And we have our own little world, and it's so interesting to see all of our dynamics and how when one is in alignment and one is out of alignment, how the whole collective can shift. What would you say to business owners? Because what we're experiencing in our family as like who can shift the dynamics the most, what would you say to people that have teams or own a business in their dynamics?
Yes, this is one of my favorite topics. So all the time, business owners will come to me and say, how can I like manage my staff better according to their designs? And I say, that's so beautiful and that's so nice. You want to do that. But how about this? If you actually run your company or manage your employees based off of your design, like when you actually run the show according to your design, everybody will receive it better. You'll have so much less like heads butting or confusion or frustration from the people working for you or working with you. If you show up correctly, it will just feel smooth for them all. And then it's also really nice if you can learn at least a tiny bit of other people's designs, like just their energy type, so that you can understand and maybe even support them in how they work. Like if I had a manifestor working for me, if that manifestor got an urge to do something, I would really want to trust it and say like, yeah, let's do that. Let me consider that. Like, let's go forward. You lead the show here. And then what I would do as their boss or whatever is expect there's going to be a crash. Like they're going to be tired at some point, and I'm never going to expect that manifestor to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday forever. Like that just won't work. They're going to work like every day and then no days, and then every day and then no days. Like that's how you could be supportive of a manifestor and actually like squeeze out why they're really here and get the benefit of them so that your company can improve. Or if you have a projector, like you should not be expecting a projector to work those long hours again. A projector can work just a couple hours and get more productivity done in a short amount of time than anyone else. Like a projector might only need to work for 1 hour and they get more than a generator could get done in 8 hours. It's just different. Like everybody's going to bring these different gifts. So as somebody that's running a company, first of all, remember, you need to run the company according to your design and don't bend over backwards to appeal to people or to present yourself a way that's going to be impressive or correct. Just do what's going to be aligned for you. And then if you can manage anything on top of that, then learn at least the energy types of some of your staff and employees and try to accommodate them and actually try and help them flourish, because remember, your company is actually going to benefit if your employees are allowed to follow their design. Like you'll get more juiciness from them and less suppression. Same thing with parenting. I just have to say, Take exactly what I just said and apply that to parenting. Same exact thing. Your kids want you as your design to be their parent. Like, let me just say this one more time. Before your children incarnated, they chose a parent with your design. So parent them according to your design, even before you try and bend over backwards to follow their design.
Mm. That is so, it's just so cool. The manual for our lives, you guys. Truly, if you have not dug into this, Madeline is a really great resource. Madeline, where can we find more of you, this magic goodness?
Well, the best place would be on Instagram. And I do a lot of like little bite-sized pieces of like little pieces of information from human design in reels and on stories and stuff all the time to make it easy to understand. So you can find me there as healthy_Madeline. And then also listen to my podcast, the Beginner's Guide to Human Design podcast. And on there, start with episode 1 and listen sequentially because it's kind of like a course in human design for people that don't know anything. So start from the beginning and you'll get everything you need to know.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that you have that. That's so cool. Before we go, I do have to say, literally the most successful women I've worked with, hands down, 100% of the time, those that are living in their design the most powerfully, the most boldly, the most unapologetically, those are the women that I see have the most success. The ones that I see like, oh, you're just kind of struggle busing along a little bit, is that like they let the conditioning take over more. This is just such important work to dive into as a business owner and as just a human and as a parent and all of the things. So go dig in deeper with Madeline or wherever you human design. Thank you so much for coming. You're just such a gem.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Suzy. This was so much fun.
Thank you for listening to Your Business Will Heal You. We will see you next week.